What's going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck. All right, I was going to do a original content video with Lady Auntie and PSA Time, but tonight I just wanted to kind of, because of the videos that I've done about NovaTech and the scam ordeal, I wanted to just do a regular video just to talk with you guys. I tried to watch my live video. I don't know what's going on with YouTube live stream, but it's horrible, and it was skipping and cutting out parts. So I wanted to recap what I had talked about in the live stream that I did about the NovaTech scam, trying to recruit my mom into this nonsense. And then I talked about helping her friend recover his money that he had been scammed out of with NovaTech, and it involved him having to go to his bank and work with his bank. So if you guys don't know by now, the OSC, the Ontario Securities Commission, sent out a temporary cease order to NovaTech because of the fraud. I mean, they've been defrauding people this whole time, and they tried to. Two of the recruiters tried to recruit my mom, and the amazing, puzzling part about this is that neither one of them, like, no one knows their last names. I only have first names, no last names, no business cards, no nothing. And I understand that this can be disheartening if you find out that you've given up hundreds to thousands of dollars to a scam, but there's no time to waste with taking action. And I say that because with my mom, I personally even had to tell her what could happen with an SEC investigation. The FBI is involved. These are all the possibilities that come up. You can even have the IRS get involved for those who actively and willingly not only defrauded people, but took these so-called payments and they never reported it to the IRS. So IRS has no idea you've been getting six figures for a whole year as part of your income, and you didn't pay taxes on it, and it wasn't reported. So first things first, the owners, they've gone from one scam company to another, and they had warnings and had a previous scam company called AWS shut down because of it being deemed a scam. And they just basically rebranded it or renamed the company. I don't even think they rebranded it. They didn't put much thought into it. They just renamed the company and kept doing what they were doing. And this lady and her husband, brother, or whatever, pretty much filed bankruptcy, packed up, and left the country. They're in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I guess they think they're just gonna be hiding out, like they're not gonna ever get caught and extradited, and that's not how that works. So one of the things I had to do with my mom was just to kind of talk her through the process of how to actually purchase a real stock and trade it. And if you understand the concept of how to actually purchase a legitimate stock or trade, then you'll know a scam when you hear it. First thing is, legitimate companies don't get cease orders for security frauds. Legitimate companies register with the SEC, that's the Securities Exchange Commission, or some Securities Commission agency. That's what we call it here in the US. Ontario, theirs is the OSC. Depending on what country you're talking about, they may have a different acronym, but it still comes down to being some form of a Securities Commission agency. And you have to be registered to be able to sell and trade stocks as an organization. From my research so far on the SEC website, the only two ways that you can be considered exempt from registering would be if you have a company with $500 million in assets, or and you are tax exempt. In order to be tax exempt, the IRS has to deem you to be tax exempt, meaning you still report the money, the earnings or the income, and these would be considered some form of distribution payment from an investment account. You still have to report it. You're not exempt from reporting these so-called payments. And then let the IRS determine whether or not you're actually eligible to be tax exempt. You can't just declare yourself to be tax exempt. There are parameters in place that you have to meet, qualifiers you have to meet in order to be considered tax exempt. That doesn't mean that you just endow yourself with the power to just be tax exempt and just say, I'm not going to file this on my taxes. And that was one of the big red flags that, when my mother was telling me about this so-called presentation from these recruiters, that's one of the things they said, is they told about 4 or 5 of these people, my mother and 4 others, hey, you don't have to report this on your taxes. We shouldn't be paying taxes anyway, and the country really, and they kind of did this little race baiting bite of the country, technically owes us as black people and we should not have to pay taxes. I don't know. Let me tell you something. No, you should pay your taxes. Period. Pay taxes. It helps with our nation's economy. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Pay taxes. That whole mindset was just it retarded, and it's nuts to even hear people talk like this, and then they're proud of it. It's almost like, you don't have to report this on your taxes. Based on what law? What tax law are you quoting when you say that? You're telling U.S. citizens they don't have to report distribution payments from an investment account to the IRS. Are you kidding me? It's like that. Al Capone did a lot of bad things in his life, but when he went to prison for tax fraud. The IRS got a hold of his behind. They locked him up, and he died of syphilis. And that was the end. It was unbelievable to even hear. And I said, well, why would you think you would not have to report this to the IRS? Do you really want to be audited by the IRS? I mean, seriously, that's just, on a logical level. Would you really want the IRS auditing you like this? And then when you spend the money, those payments, if you get a tax bill that says, hey, you owe us $1,000 because you didn't pay the money on these distribution payments and you got X amount of dollars for the year, now you owe us. Then what? You're not going to have $1,000 to pay these people. Why would you want that? That's an unnecessary hardship you're bringing into your life. And for what? For what? Another thing that I told my mom is, okay, if you have a legitimate investment account with a legitimate company, when you buy a trade or stock, you get a receipt. You purchase it like a purchase order. It's kind of like ordering anything else online. It has all the information you need, from the stock index to the number of shares and the stock price and the holding. The type of stock it is, fund. A direct stock from a single company, or a fund where you have multiple, companies and stocks inside of that. It's like a bucket of holdings from different companies, different types of markets in one bucket. And you can just purchase it. And it's normally the stock price is listed and you see what the price is per share. So when she asked the recruiter, okay, what are you all trading, first of all? And the recruiter said, gold and silver and other stuff. And I'm sitting here like, okay, fine. What are the receipts? What's the document to show this? When you buy a stock or do trading, you have to prove that you are the legitimate owner of these shares of this stock or this trade. Because you can't just sell something that you're not the legitimate owner of on the stock market. It's going to have a red flag to it. This is how people get investigated and thrown in prison for securities fraud. You're selling something that's not even you're not even the owner of, and it may not even be a legitimate stock. The company may be fake. All these things. And I had to tell her, you got to look at the history of, how these Ponzi scams and fraud schemes like the pyramid scheme, and I don't care what you call it, lotus flower, whatever, how this stuff came to be and how it works. Because whatever you term it as, the structure is normally always the same. If you have an investment account, you should not need to recruit other people in order to get some sort of dividend or distribution payment. That's not how that works in a legitimate company with legitimate accounts and trading. That's not how that works. I wish the guard Charles Schwab would call me and tell me that I got to recruit 10 people before I can withdraw some money. Please let that happen. Y'all will never hit the end of it. And I ain't lying. That would be some mess. Honey, I'd go out so bad I'd be on the internet all day. But Charles Schwab is a legitimate company. And you can buy shares for stocks as low as like $30, $40 per share. Sometimes investing, unless you got hundreds of millions of dollars somewhere, it's all about baby steps. And understanding the stock market, how trades work, how buying and selling operates, learning how to read the stock market. Those are the things that you can just learn by researching and Googling on the internet. We have the internet at our fingertips now. All the resources and video on YouTube and Instagram, all these, resources available for you to learn just the basics of how this works to keep you from falling victim to a scam. And it doesn't matter. Her godmother, when I tried to tell her, my mother's godmother kept saying, well, there's doctors and lawyers in this. Anybody can be scammed. Anybody can fall victim to a scam. You can click a link in an email and download a virus, and then someone gets a hold to all your information and then have money taken out of your account and be scammed. Have money stolen from you. That's not something that's totally a stupid person decision. Being scammed is not something people want to be. Nobody wants to be scammed. And when you fall victim to a scam, it's not because you are smart or stupid. Sometimes it's just the lack of knowledge and understanding what's going on to know that if I'm clicking an email and I don't know who it is or where it came from, maybe I should right click and inspect element and see what the actual email address really is. Or if I don't recognize it, just delete it. I don't open emails I'm not expecting to receive anyway. And sometimes I get emails that may have someone that I know, their name in the email address, but it's not their actual email address. So scams come in many forms, and sometimes people just fall victim to it and they slip up and they click on something they're not familiar with, but all it takes is that one click on a link, and next thing you know, you got your account being drained. You got all these suspicious calls coming in. Now you got purchases coming up in your name on your credit report. Little things like that, and then you don't know until you actually check your credit report. Those are all the things that people can fall victim to every day. So, in all that get some understanding. If you don't know if a company is legit, Google it. I literally typed, is NovaTech a scam? And it not only gave me the answer yes, but it also led me to all of the legal court filings. A negative review, you can call it what you want. A review is a review. Court documents don't lie. Period. All these cease orders that NovaTech has, those legal court documents don't lie. Those judges, they're not going to conjure up fake, forged legal court documents and try to enforce it without punishment. So if you see cease orders coming that are upheld by the courts, more than likely, because there's evidence. There's enough evidence for that judge to sign off on that order to say, you all need to cease and desist with all this nonsense you're doing. because we have enough evidence to show that you're a scam. And the cease and desist order that NovaTech received from the state of California, that's no joke. That cease and desist order includes them having to pay back people that are filing, fraud claims and saying, hey, they stole my money. And this is not something that these peons, these people are doing for the first time. I mean, they've been doing this NovaTech crap for about 2-3 years. And then this is just a renamed version of AWS that also lasted a couple years. At the end of the day, people like myself and other channels that are covering the NovaTech scam, we can talk till we blue in the face. If the owners do not go to prison or at least get charged for something, they're going to be allowed to just continue. It's like giving them permission to continue to do this. And the next thing you know, they're going to file bankruptcy, which is what they've already done. And that's pretty much the pattern when scams fall apart. The owners file bankruptcy. Oh, I don't have any money. I can't pay anybody back. I can't pay my debts. And then next thing you know, everybody that's been stiff, there's no hope of them getting their money back. 9 times out of 10, because now the owners have filed bankruptcy, and then they just pack up like the peons did. They left the United States of America, and then they went somewhere where they thought that they would be untraceable and untouchable. But just like in the situation with Sam Bankman-Friedman at FTX, that little dumb boy didn't even bother to Google whether or not the U.S. has a treaty with the Bahamas. You go buy a house in the Bahamas thinking that you will just be impervious to the laws of the U.S. when you're stealing hundreds of millions to billions of dollars from investors for a scam company, and you're doing all this intentionally. Don't think you're just going to be able to hide out in the Bahamas. Now that boy is facing 12 felony charges. 12. So if you don't believe that these owners are being investigated and will eventually get charged, I encourage you to look at the news and watch the videos and everything that's being reported with Sam Bankman-Friedman and that FTX nonsense, because his company was pretty much the same way. He just decided to get a subsidiary called Alameda Research or something like that to try to embezzle money from, and basically he owned both. And he was just basically funding one company with another company, and both of them were scams. The end. And they fell apart because you don't play with people's money. It's not a joke. And if you think about just what Bernie Madoff was able to do for over 20 years, unbelievable. People took their lives. They fell into depression. Families were broken. People lost everything they had, because they believed someone that told them, hey, what I'm doing is a good thing, and I can get you all this money back. And then, like I told my mother, just don't fall victim to your greed. Don't let greed get in the way. We all want to have wealth. We all want to live comfortably. We all want to have, financial freedom and financial stability. I am a living example that I'm tired of getting jobs and being laid off all the time. It's depressing. I got 2 kids. I'm a single mother. But I also know I can't afford to be scammed either. And it's not even a matter of, some of you guys didn't give up all your money, but some of you did. Some of you gave up all the money you can afford to give up. They scammed another associate of my mom's that, is a school teacher. And she paid $500 into this nonsense. And there's no hope of her probably getting her money back. And I think the best route to take is, if you find out you've been scammed, okay, let's get some documentation evidence that you can conjure up. Start with your bank. And then if you have to, depending on how much you have lost, you may have to go through the court system and do a civil lawsuit. NovaTech also has civil lawsuits filed against them for defrauding people. So those little things can be discovered with just a Google search. And then the legal court documents, the cease orders, the fraud warnings, the scam warnings that whole country government's the issue. If you manage to get a securities warning from the Bank of Russia, you probably should really rethink your life or lack thereof. I don't know how you think you're going to just be able to get away with something like that, because I think once you land on their radar, you own it forever. They hold a grudge like it's no tomorrow. You get on their radar on the bad side if you want to. You own it. And then I discovered, my mom told me that, her and others had to give up a copy of their driver's license with their photo ID on it. And I told her, I said, well, you do realize that could be identity fraud. Why are they taking a copy of your driver's license and a photo ID? I didn't have to do that. I don't think I had to do that when I opened my account with Charles Schwab. I didn't have to send it. Why would you have to give them a copy of your driver's license and ID? The website is fake. The demo accounts that you guys just setting up here, all those who have accounts with NovaTech, those are demo accounts. They don't mean anything. They don't connect to any account, real bank accounts or anything. They can't do any trading. They can't do anything with that because they're not registered with the SEC. They're not legally allowed to do it. So those demo accounts, it's like a PowerPoint presentation in a web format that you can put a link in the internet on the internet for and pull up. That's it. They're fake accounts. They mean nothing. Those numbers, all them circles and graphs, none of that means anything. The website is fake. It's a fake website. And you gave these people a copy of your driver's license with your photo ID on it. Now, one thing scam companies love to do is sell people's information and their identity to other scam companies. And this fraud industry is $1 billion industry. I watch scam baiting videos all the time. One of my favorites is Kit Boga. I also love Scammer Payback. Jim Browning is like, a legend. But if you watch those videos, you'll understand the various forms of these scams and where they're coming from. You have a lot of scams coming in from India and Africa, right here in the US. I mean, you'd be amazed, at how people are popping up with scams all the time. And there's no mercy with it. They don't care if they take all your money. They don't care if they take your life savings. Some people know not to give up all their money to something that is being phrased as an investment. But some people don't. Some people just, they want to get to that point where they have that financial stability and that financial freedom. And they get blinded by these fake demo accounts and all the pretty colors on it with all these random numbers on it. And then they say, oh, well, if you're making this type of money, then I'm going to do it too. That's not how it works. Ponzi scams aren't designed for everybody to get money out of it. They're not. It will fall apart before it starts. And they certainly don't do business in the stock market, because it's easier to discover that this company is a scam if they try to do trading on the stock market and they're not registered to do trading on the stock market with any securities commission on earth. So those things that you can just learn about just by doing a simple Google search. Also, my mom had to get a new driver's license. So if you've given up your driver's license to these people, I would encourage you to go to, whatever, depending on what state you're in or whatever, you go to the Department of Driver Services and get a whole new driver's license, because you have no idea what someone is capable of doing with your information. She actually received a speeding ticket to her address in someone else's name. So someone had gotten a hold of her address, they got a ticket or whatever, and obviously they didn't have a license, and the ticket was mailed to her address but in someone else's name. And when she went to get her a new license and photo and everything done, they told her, they said, listen, we get a lot of this all the time where people's identity has been compromised, and they did it, they were nice enough to do it for free. But if you don't have somebody that's knowledgeable about finances and investments And even with me having some just legal knowledge of just, reading and understanding laws, you may not have someone to kind of guide you on what to do and not to do and how to recognize these scams quicker to keep you from making a really big mistake by giving up your money that you never get back. Most people will never get back. They never recover. And then ironically, she ran into two other people that one guy is a business owner. He lost $40,000. And another young man she so happened to be doing a drop off for, he lost $10,000. And he thought it was a good investment. And poor thing, he said that he did it because his cousin plays in the NBA. And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean that, And I just so happy on the phone with her. She put me on speakerphone and I was able to talk to this young man. Never met him. But we just so happen to be talking about NovaTech and all the people that she knows have actually put money into that and were scammed. And this young man, he was even told by his financial advisor, don't do it. Don't do it. This is a scam. Do not give these people your money. His girlfriend told him, don't do it. And this is what he shared with me and my mother and over the phone. And he didn't listen because his cousin, who was in the NBA, put money into this. Doesn't mean that it's not any more legit than it would be if a doctor or an attorney put money into it. It's still a scam. And like I said, it's not hard nowadays, especially with technology, being as advanced it is. People can easily send something in an email or a random text or a random call and somehow get a hold to your information connected to your device. And next thing you know, you got random Zelle accounts taking money out your bank account. I mean, that's unbelievable. And NovaTech, they don't care. They're not going to be there when you guys aren't able to pay your mortgages or, pay for your children's college tuition, or you're ready to retire, and you're looking to have this payout from the scam company. NovaTech is going to be nowhere to be found. The only reason why they're giving people their money back in California is because they're not that dumb to just blatantly violate a court order. These cease orders have to go through the legal process through a federal court and be signed by a judge. When you put in a FOIA request to get a copy of it as a U.S. citizen, we have the Freedom Information Act. You can request a copy of all these court documents. They may not have a judge's signature on it to protect the judge. I've literally come across a couple videos. One video in particular, this lady is definitely an upline in NovaTech. And she's sitting here picking on the fact that the cease and desist order from California didn't have the judge's signature, therefore it's not real. No, it doesn't need it because this is a copy that you're looking at. They don't want the judge's signature on there because anyone can forge that judge's signature, ding dong. You look goof. There's no reason to get copies of these court documents with judges' signatures all over them. Then people will start forging the judges' signatures. Next thing you know, the stuff's showing up everywhere. There's a reason for that. It's for the protection and safety of that judge. Even if you know the judge's name, you still don't know how their signature look. So they don't have to put it on a copy of that court order. But please believe me when I tell you that it does not make it less enforceable. It's still upheld and enforced by the court. The end. So you get a copy of it, you don't see a judge's signature, it's for the judge's protection. And there's no reason to have a signature on a copy of a document. The original document is going to be filed with the court. So violate that court order if you want to. That's one thing that those owners did not do. They didn't violate that court order because they know they can be charged with being in violation of that court order and being contempt of it. And then they really going to go to prison. They're already under SEC investigation. And I hope to God FBI, because they're not in the U.S. So I hope the FBI is really honing in on this stuff. And the FTC need to go after them as well. And then preferably the IRS, because that'll really seal the deal. That'll seal it. That's a fake going for right there. And this time they should not be allowed to file bankruptcy because they've already done that. They filed bankruptcy in in Florida. In Florida and New York. You can request a copy of those documents as well. It's public information. So none of this I'm saying is forged or, invalid. You can request to see their bankruptcy filings for the state of New York and the state of Florida. These people do not live in Florida. They're out of the country in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They were also dumb enough to do an interview where it's confirmed they're in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The court documents list their location as representative of the company, as the owners of the company, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And court documents do not lie. So you guys, please Google, look up stuff and read it. I'm not talking about reviews. People saying bad things. That's not a cease order coming from a federal court is not a bad thing that someone is saying in a Yelp review. This is a legal court document that you have to uphold and abide by. Just like a restraining order. You get a restraining order and you violate the restraining order, you're going to jail. What you thinking? You're going to jail if you violate the restraining order. Courts told you to stay away from this person by so many feet or whatever and leave them alone, and you fail to do that, you're going to jail. This cease order is the same thing. It's an order enforcing, a mandate. Cease with the thing on securities fraud and then pay these people back. That's it. They fail to abide by those court orders. They can go to jail for just being in violation, contempt of those orders. That's it. They don't want to test the waters and find out. Because y'all walking around here calling legal documents and cease orders, and warnings from federal government agencies or federal banks. You calling that a bad review. This ain't no Yelp review. That's so dumb. The whole idea and the concept of these scams as well, like NovaTech, takes a massive amount of brainwashing. It's like a cult. It has people literally at a point where they don't even want to Google anything online because they think it's just somebody saying something negative. But what you're essentially doing is trying to cover up for the inner anger and frustration and disappointment of not feeling stupid. This is not a matter of smart versus stupid. It's not. You can either be a victim or a perpetrator. Either you're a part of this nonsense and you understand that this is a scam and you're still choosing to recruit people to just give up their money to this nonsense that's basically being split up and divided out amongst other people, because that's how Ponzi scams work. Either you're a perpetrator to that nonsense or you're a victim to it. Choose to be a victim if you're not aware and take action from there. No one owes NovaTech anything. Period. Including the recruiters and the uplines and all of them. No one owes them anything. You've stolen people's money. All you're doing is taking money from more people coming into this nonsense, this scam, and you're just splitting it up and spending it. That's all you're doing. There's no trade. They can't do it. Just like it's the concept of having a car but not a driver's license. Just because you have a car does not mean you're legally able to drive it without a driver's license. So if you go drive a car and you ain't got no valid driver's license and you get pulled over, you can go to jail. And then that car will be repossessed. Some of the cops may be nice enough to let you call somebody to come pick that car up, but you certainly not going to be allowed to drive away in it with no driver's license. That's the same thing with the scam company. You can't claim that you're doing trading when you're not registered with the SEC and you certainly don't fit any of the criteria to be considered exempt. You're a scam. You're just stealing money. It's just a high-level thievery operation. A whole lot of theft. The worst part is something simple as a wire fraud charge carries about 20 years of prison time. So even a simple communication, whether it be emails or the fax or whatever, communicating about a scam could be essentially seen as wire fraud, if nothing else. why would you want to face any charge that could possibly land you in prison for almost 20 years? It's stupid. And NovaTech, those owners, they're not going to bail you out of jail. They're not going to hire you an attorney. They're not going to help you with the court fees. They're not going to help you maintain your freedom. If the IRS comes after you all, because y'all gave up your license to these people, so I don't think it'll be hard to find half of you, because driver's license is out there, and they don't have a secured server to store any of that information. Why give this scam company a copy of your driver's license with your photo ID on it in the first place if they have no secure server to actually store this information on? For what? Why ask for it then? So I don't think it will be difficult to find a lot of these people, because your driver's license pretty much got all the necessary information to at least find you. And if you didn't have to give a driver's license up, that means you probably didn't put any money into this scam. And a lot of these recruiters, they don't pay into this. The owners didn't put their own money into this scam. They know it's a scam. There's no profit to be made if all you're doing is just exchanging money. And a lot of these recruiters, just like the two that tried to, recruit my mom, those jokers didn't put no money into this. They tried to lie and say, oh, I paid $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and will never be able to provide any proof that they themselves actually contributed to this scam, because they know there's no money to be made in it if they're giving up their own money. All you're doing is, if you put in $1,000 and then you get $1,000 out, but yet you got a fake demo account that says, hey, you actually got $2,000 sitting in there magically out of nowhere, you're only getting back what you put in. So where's the profit in it? It doesn't benefit these scammers that are recruiting people into this crap to actually invest their own money. There's no investment made, so you basically just putting money in it for the sake of putting money in it, only to be able to get out way more than what you put in it. Many of these recruiters, they don't put any money in it. They may put $100 if they just want to prove to someone, hey, I put money into this, look how much I'm getting back. But they're getting back a substantial amount of money, way more than what they've invested and put into this on average. The two recruiters that, tried to get my mom, and actually did get a couple of her friends that she knows, one of them said he put in $1,000, in the next sentence he said he did $150 or $200, and somehow he still pulled out $2,000. What? The math on that is blowing my mind, and I don't know how anybody could take this little goof seriously. I certainly didn't, and I recognize it to be the Ponzi scam that it is the moment my mother told me about it. And I said, listen, don't let time pass by before you take action. Don't be afraid to do it either. You have people out there that are investigating and getting copies of documents to put out to expose the scam and doing their fair share of reporting on this. Don't be afraid to report these uplines and these recruiters to the SEC. They're just as guilty as the owners. Don't be afraid to do that, especially with the ones that have been in this nonsense for 2 or 3 years, and probably longer than that, because a lot of people came over from their AWS scam. And like I said, all these owners are going to do, file bankruptcy and probably rename the dang on scam company to something else. And all of these so-called top heavy hitters just going to transition over to the new scam. And then this will go on forever and ever until these people go to prison. But it won't work, and it won't be successful if you learn how to research and read just the fundamentals of investments and how to purchase stocks and trade and how that works, learning about the stock market before you do any investment with any company, legitimate or scam. Have some base level of knowledge. That way, when someone says they're buying stocks on your behalf, you can ask, where's my receipt? Because I have to prove that I am the legitimate owner of these shares. Otherwise, it's as if you ain't bought nothing at all. I can't go buy a house and I don't have the paperwork to back up me buying a home. If there's none that exists, then technically I don't own the home. Same thing with these stocks and trades. You don't own it if you don't have documentation to show for that. I really hope that this thing on April 1st is the day they actually get raided and they all get locked up at once, these owners. I said in my live video that this petty young lady, she's like the female black version of Jim Jones, just a cult leader all around, and has people bamboozled and brainwashed to think that this is actually something legitimate. I honestly think she's a pathological liar and she's been defrauding people for years through 2 companies so far that have somehow managed to still run 2-3 years in. You're hurting families. You're dividing friends and loved ones over this. You have people brainwashed to believe that this is somehow going to help them achieve some level of financial freedom. And then the backlash that comes behind it, from investigations to IRS audits to just simply the loss of losing money that people have worked hard and earned. You know, it's going to catch up to you. Karma is a beast. And I don't think these petty young people are prepared for it. It's unfortunate, it's disgusting, and it's sad that they have been able to bamboozle and swindle people this long. So please, if you guys have put money into this scam, or you know somebody that has, encourage them. Be encouraged and be emboldened to report it. Because what they should not be allowed to do is to continuously perpetuate this nonsense. Going from one scam company to another scam company. And for what? It comes down to greed. Don't let greed cloud your judgment to where in the long run you end up being thrown in prison. And where has that gotten you? Being greedy, and you're taking thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars from other people, basically, only to end up in prison for what? And these petty youngers are going to be nowhere to be found. So get some understanding, read and research. You know, it's really simple math. When my mom asked, you know, the guy, okay, if you guys are trading in gold or silver, where's the proof of that? You know, and I've come across a lot of comments, even in my videos and other videos that I've watched, where people are bragging about how much money they're getting. Okay, well, you ain't report this to IRS, so good luck to that investigation. Prison should be fun for you. Hopefully you'll be thrown in a cell with them petty odds. But why brag about that? You basically just, people are going to jail now for bragging on social media, on the internet, about stealing money. Because that's essentially what it comes down to. And people are actually being charged with their own comments and videos being used against them to throw them right in jail, where they belong if you're stealing money like that. Well, you can't be this dumb. I'm saying this. You cannot be this stupid. You're literally bragging about stealing money from someone. And then when I respond and say, well, you didn't report it to the IRS if you live in the United States. You're supposed to be. You're not tax exempt. I highly doubt you are. And I don't know why you think you're going to get away from all of this. You're not going to come out of this unscathed. But the poor victims who have lost their money, you know, to this, thinking and hoping that this would help them get a few extra dollars in, and they truly, you know, unaware and not knowledgeable. Didn't, you know, most people don't think to look this stuff up. Most people don't think to just Google, is NovaTech a scam? Like, most people don't think to do that. And when they find out they've been scammed, you know, they just, you can't wallow in that misery. You can't walk around with your pride and ego on your shoulders. You should not want this to happen to anyone else. Take action. File a civil suit. Go to your banks, tell them what happened, file a fraud claim, and if the banks aren't able to compensate you, and give you your money back, especially if you can prove that the money came directly out of your bank account. Now, if you withdrew all your money and then, you did by some other transaction, putting money into the scam, it's going to be very difficult to convince your bank that I withdrew 50 grand, but I lost it to the scam. But if they see the transaction through an EFT, electronic funds transfer, come out of your account, and hopefully it has NovaTech or something on it, that's easier to prove. And I'm sure that every bank has a fraud department. I'm sure they're going to, research and, they've made a determination, like many other courts have, that this is indeed a scam. And that's what happened with my mom's friend. He, fortunately for him, the amount that he gave up for this crap was, very small. It wasn't even $1,000. And he filed the claim with his bank, and his bank actually approved for him to get reimbursed. And like I said, every bank has a fraud department. They investigate, and these fraud departments have the power to forward over, their findings and their results from investigations to court, to the district courts or the local courts, for charges to be filed. And they go after the person, especially if it can be traced and you can find out, who the person is and where the money went. They have the ability to do that. They just forward the charges over to the courts, and the courts take it from there and they file charges. So do something, take action. Don't let this, get you to the point where you're in a state of depression and denial. You gotta take action. You got to. And even if you do not get your money back, you can at least help other unsuspecting victims to keep from losing their money. So, hopefully we as humanity can look out for each other and do that. I personally am going to try my best to report the recruiters that tried to get my mom into the scam and actually, defrauded two of her friends that she, warned and told, hey, this is a scam, get your money back. One of them were successful at it. And I don't know, I'm not sure about the other friend of hers, but this is taking a toll on people. And as always, these scams end up hurting the victims and their families. And it just, I don't understand how anybody can sleep peacefully at night with this, doing this. It's nuts. So there's nothing wrong with the petty-ons just earning their money the legitimate way by getting a job. I mean, seriously, get a job. Or just, if you're smart enough to actually operate and own a legitimate business, do that. But I don't even think these people can actually show proof or credentials that they're legitimate stockbrokers. I wouldn't even give someone money that can't prove to me that they're actually a licensed and legitimate stockbroker. That means you don't know what you're doing. And if you're not sure and they refuse to, validate who they are and what they do, and to deem this legitimate, go to Charles Schwab and Robinhood, all these other companies, legitimate companies. I wouldn't recommend Robinhood, but Charles Schwab and Fidelity and all these other investment companies that are real legitimate investment companies that also give you, and that's another thing, a legitimate company gives you a 1099 form to file with your taxes if you do get a withdrawal. And they also don't tell you no. If you want your money back, you put money into a retirement investment account like an IRA, which is exactly what that is investment retirement account, and you want to get all your money back, a real legitimate company will not say, no, you can't get it back. We're freezing all requests. What they will tell you is there's an early withdrawal fee that you have to pay. And they give you the option on whether or not you want to treat it as a loan and then pay back into the IRA if you're going through some sort of hardship or something to that extent. But they're not going to say, no, you can't have your money back, because they wouldn't be in business either. Sometimes things happen, you got to get your money. These owners literally are freezing all requests for people to get their money back. That's the ultimate red flag. This is fake as God knows what, because I can't even withdraw my money out, and I should be able to do that. But with just base level knowledge like that, knowing that you can, with a legitimate company, get your darn money back. If you ask them, can I withdraw my money back, even if something's going wrong, the answer should always be yes. Here are the fines for this early withdrawal. The end. Especially if you're withdrawing before the criteria is met for you to be able to get the money back, like with an IRA. I mean, it's meant for you to have when you retire. So if you withdraw the money out before you actually, eligible to retire, of course you're going to have to pay the fee, and you're going to have to report that on your taxes. The end. That's how that works. It's so disgusting. But all the red flags are there. Don't let this brainwashing nonsense carry you to a place where you will not be able to recover. And I encourage you guys to go out and watch scam baiting videos, learn about scams and how they operate. Charles Schwab does not need me to recruit 10 people. They just don't. I mean, if people want to open up an account with them and invest, they do. They don't need my help with that. And I wish to God they would ask me, because I'm not a salesperson. I told them, I said, please do not ever ask me to recruit anybody. If you give somebody a bonus for referring a friend, fine. But that should not be a mandate. It should not be the only way you get money back. And it's a telltale sign when people start saying, give me my money back. Give me my money back right now. And then they're telling you, no, we can't do that, and can't tell you why. Ask for receipts when you buy a trade or stock. And for that stupid little goof recruiter talking about they trade in gold and silver, just so you know, as a FYI, the share price of gold per gram is like $50. Per ounce is about $1,100. You're welcome, idiot. All right. I really wanted to do this video. Hopefully I've asked my mom if I can try to interview her friends that were defrauded, because a lot of times people just need to see real victims of this, and to really have it hit home. Like I said, I hope to be able to do an interview, but at the end of the day, legal court documents don't lie. If you don't think this is a scam and you don't want to Google anything, at least look at the legal court documents, because they're real and legitimate and being enforced. That's it. And if everybody pulls out their money, the Ponzi scam will definitely 100% of the time fall apart, because the only way it works is when people are bringing money into it, and that money is just being split up to everybody else, and everybody gets a piece of that. That's it. That's all that's happening. No trading, no none of that. I don't even want NovaTech to incorporate themselves in the stock market, because they're going to really go in and screw some up. They're taking money from people that could be going to legitimate investment companies that do trade in the stock market to help keep our economy flowing. I mean, that's essentially what it does. If you can't really understand the law of supply and demand, I wouldn't give my money to anything where people can't even tell me what type of trading they're doing anyway. They can't even give me a stock price of that share of that stock. Don't understand terms like per gram or per ounce for something like gold or silver. Like, come on. I mean, and those things can just easily be Googled. And so with my mom's friend, he got his money back. I told him uninstall the app, because you have no idea what that app is capturing, the information it could be capturing on your devices. Uninstall that stupid app. It is not monitored by anything. It's not on a secure server. None of that. All your information is pretty much compromised if you install that NovaTech app on your phone or your tablet or your laptop or whatever. You're immediately opening yourself up to having your identity and your information compromised. And get your license, get a new license, get a new driver's license ID number, and a new photo ID, because you have no idea what these people are doing with your information. You have no idea who they're selling it out to. Scamming itself is $1 billion industry. You know, you got some scam companies that make so much money, especially like in, countries like India, where they just pay people off in bribes all day, and none of them dudes go to jail. I don't, I think countries like that do that, and a lot of people may agree or disagree, but I think countries should come together like the US and other major countries, the EU, and say, listen, you guys keep going on with these scams. The government in India is not doing anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop trading with you all. We finna really hurt your pockets. Good luck to getting them billionaires over there to make up for y'all nation's economy that's about to take a hit. And scams do bring down economies. I'm serious. Y'all can Google it. Countries that, have had their economy destroyed because of scams. It takes away money from the actual country's economy. It does. And like I said, look it up. There are countries that, have a lot of scams going on, and it affects their economy. And sometimes it falls under and shatters. Next thing you know, this country is a third, fourth world poverty-stricken country where nobody can even get $1, let alone have hundreds of thousands of it. It's ridiculous. So please be empowered and be encouraged. File a civil suit. Report these uplines and these recruiters. And you keep putting these, fraud claims through with the SEC. That's just more information to help them really nail these owners and have their behinds extradited back here to the U.S. and thrown in prison where they belong. They don't deserve to be free people because they're stealing money. And this Pettion, this is the last point I'm going to make. Let me tell you something, little girl, Cynthia Pettion. Weaponizing Christianity in the name of God to steal money from people is the quickest way to land your behind in the hottest parts of hell. Period. I don't know why you want to find that out the hard way, but that is the quickest way to lift up your eyes in hell, because you have stolen money in the name of God and Christianity. The audacity and the gall of you to do that. It's disgusting. God is not going to sit here and encourage you to break a whole commandment and steal money from people. That's a whole commandment. Thou shalt not steal is literally a whole commandment. Why would you sit here and weaponize Christianity? You make Christians look bad. Stealing money in the name of God and Christianity. I don't like it when these mega pastors sit here and do this, buy multi-million-dollar houses and planes and jets, but they can't help the people in their own community where the church is located. I don't see them any differently. Her considering herself a pastor, evangelist, or whatever she is, whatever she's doing, I don't consider that anything any differently. So why in the world would you sit here and try to weaponize Christianity in the name of God for the idea and the concept of basically stealing money? Why would you do that? And you're preying on people's faith and their vulnerability of that. There are people who are doing this because they actually believe that this is some sign from God. This Ponzi scam wants me to give up all my money or my hard-earned savings or my IRAs and drain my bank accounts to put into something that can't even do trading on the stock market legally. That's not what God wants for you. He doesn't want you to lose your money like that. He wants us to have life and have it abundantly. And just even the idea of peace of mind is, in my mind, the definition of life abundantly. But he certainly doesn't want you to lose your money to a scam. That's not God's will. The devil is a liar. That in and of itself is just pure cultish mentality and a whole lot of brainwashing. Jim Jones did the same thing. And it's just awful, no matter how you put it. A lot of other cult leaders did the same thing. All they did was say a bunch of stuff that people believe. And these were vulnerable people who believed what this person was saying. And for what? To lose everything. Hundreds of people lost their lives, to this cult of Jim Jones. And babies, children, innocent people who couldn't make decisions for themselves because somebody hung on his every word. And it's disgusting to the infinite level of how whatever you can achieve and conjure up in your mind of what's just the ultimate sign of disgusting. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So I just, my heart goes out to the true victims out there, to people that actually thought that this was a good thing. But for those recruiters and them uplines and all these people that are helping these owners scheme and scam money and all this other stuff, I hope all y'all go to prison and share a jail cell with these Patreon people, and that you never get out. You're the worst of the worst, and may God have mercy on you. Hell is still hot. I don't know what to tell you. And you're not going to just have the SEC coming after you. Y'all going to have the IRS coming after you as well, and they show you no mercy. Plus, you're going to have the FBI. And if you don't think that you could go to prison over this, I encourage you to watch all the news video clippings between Charles Ponzi, Bernie Madoff, Sam Bankman, that chick with the Theranos thing. A lot of people go to prison over these scams, especially when you steal the money on this level and you got whole countries and states sending cease and desist orders, saying, or warning, saying this is a scam. We have to pay attention to reality. We have to take heed to these warnings. These legal court documents don't lie. These judges don't lie. I don't care if you like court systems or not. Do not encourage people to brazenly commit tax fraud. It doesn't make sense, and it's not worth it. It's not worth all the legal trouble that comes behind all of this. So, either way, you guys, please don't let these people bamboozle and brainwash you. It's a cult. It's ridiculous. And these people are following the Patreons from one scam company to another scam company. And this pattern of behavior is just going to repeat itself. I don't know or care if this owner needs help or not, because at the end of the day, this is intentional and she knows exactly what she's doing. And if you can prove an intent to defraud, that's game over. So, you guys, listen, continue to take care of yourselves. Please check out Paul Hardingham, and there are a few other channels that I've been watching and, checking out their research. Please check out their videos, the documents that they have, the evidence that they're able to get their hands on and report and share. Most of it is legal documents. You can't forge that. No court or judge is going to sit here and sign and uphold a forged document. They're not fake. These are not Yelp reviews. These are not Google reviews. They're legal court documents. They are orders, cease orders, that are signed by judges and upheld by courts in our legal system. And no one is above the law. Not these Patreons, not these recruiters, not these uplines. None of you morons are above the law. Stop stealing people's money, because there's a heavy price to pay for that. And I don't think they're prepared for what's to come. I don't think they're prepared to pay the price for it. But you guys, please report it. I urge you all, to report it. Anybody that watches this video, report it. Report these people, period. Get the information, get all the information you can from these uplines and recruiters, and report their behinds, and make sure that they understand you're not going to be able to continue to do this any longer. April 1st is going to be one heck of a day. Tell you that. So, but you guys continue to be safe. Please take care of yourselves. Look out for each other. Take care of one another. And until the next video.